should be. For those who don't know, I go by the name BlaQ Slim. I'm an artist originally from Cape Town, and I'm currently based in Joburg just over a year now. I make music. I'm also a TV presenter. The name of the tape is There's a Lesson in There Somewhere. Main reason why I named it that is because I realized there's so much that I've been through musically and not musically. So I've learned that in happiness, in sadness, in being rich, in being poor, in losing friendships, in making new friendships, in losing love, in making new love or finding new love, there's always a lesson in there, somewhere. And I feel like the tape that I'm working on is built around those things. It's there's a lesson in hardship. There's a lesson in partying day in, day out. There's a lesson in experimenting with whatever you choose to experiment with, whether it's different music, whether it's a new career, whether it's whatever the case may be. There's a lesson in there. It's one of those things, again, it kind of found me. Like, I was sitting thinking, what can I call this tape? What can I call this tape? It just came to me like, yo, like, with everything that you've been through, like, there's actually, like, when you get out of it, when you're in something, it's kind of like hard to see the lesson or the outcome of, like, yo, this is what I want. The challenges that kind of come with, like, if I want to make R1 million, the challenges that come with that, like the late nights, the sacrifices, the sacrifices financially, the sacrifices emotionally, the sacrifices mentally. There's a lesson in all that shit. So that's why I decided to call it a lesson in there somewhere. Yeah, there's a lesson in there somewhere. Right. What I've learned is that Cape Town is a very reactive market, and Joburg is a very proactive market. So a Cape Town audience is more likely to react to something that's already happening, whereas Joburg tries to create something and follow it and see it through. I think that's one of, like, the biggest lessons I learned. And I think it's mad important to understand that as an artist, that, like, Cape Town isn't really focused on, we will take you from nothing and make you something. It's like, okay, you have something dope. Now that the country has resonated with it and reacted to it, they're most likely to react to it too. And I think that's not even just the music space. I think that's in whatever space. I think someone starting a business, Cape Town is more reactive to a business that's already started, or an event that already has a name and a reputation, as opposed to, let's start some shit. That kind of made me see that, like, it's one thing to be busy, right? And it's not, sometimes being busy is not really like a good thing. Like, yo, I'm busy, and like, oh, this person is like doing the most because they're busy. But it's like, yeah, but that's just, it doesn't mean you're making money. And more importantly, it doesn't mean you being progressive by just being busy. It just means you're busy. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I can say is definitely, like, the huge difference between Cape Town and Joburg. So, I mean, we already have a lot of things to our advantage, living in a digital space. Do you know what I mean? So, like, instead of waiting for people to open up an industry, right? Like, I think the main thing is to really, like, just start your own industry. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you can, because once you start something, right, and you invest enough time in it, anything, right, you invest enough time in it, eventually people will start gravitating towards that. Like, this is not even just the music business, this is business in general. In the industry that we're in, or in the time that we're in, we need to work with what we're given. If it's too little, then fucking work with it, and then renegotiate when you're in a position of power. I think the key to starting and the key to seeing things through is also collaboration, right? So it's saying, like, yo, I have this, right? They are giving me this. Let me find a way to collaborate with someone and create something bigger and go back to that client, right? And create something more and create something bigger and wow a client, right? Wow an audience so that I can get more out of them. Opening up the industry, when people are supposed to open up an industry, what are they gonna get in return outside of just talent? Because the one thing we can be sure of is that we live in a time where talent is not enough. So in my opinion, like there is the notion of open up the industry, but it's also like stop waiting to be saved. Because that's what I hear. Like open up and help me help myself. You know what I mean? But it's like, yo, like sometimes you just gotta see that like you have to save yourself. A store can't just be a store anymore. A recording studio can't just be a recording studio anymore. You should be able to do photo shoots in there. You should be able to create content in there. So people are looking to get more than one thing out of a space now. Know what you're worth and know what you're willing to offer. Know what it entails to get to where you need to get to. Know your worth. More than anything, know your worth. If you're not worth shit, you're not worth shit. Nothing wrong with that, because then you're at the bottom and you really have nothing to lose. But know what you're worth and know what you're willing to offer. Know what it entails to get to where you need to get to, right? Because there's this misconception of, okay, all I need to do is be able to make music, right? Because what you see on television or what you see on YouTube is just the front layer of nothing. Is just one layered. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, right? Nothing is just one layered, right? Like the reason why your favorite actor acts like that is because they got trained by someone to act like that. You know what I mean? They got a certain script written to cater and to tailor to that artist in a specific way. So there's more than just a face to something, and there's more than just one thing to something. So understand what you offer, understand your value, and don't forget to revisit where you've been. Have a plan. I think sometimes in the industry that we're in, a lot of us just we think, okay, cool, as long as I can make music, everything else will figure itself out. But like fuck, like we've seen it not work so many times. I don't want to mention like any artists, right? But like just look at South African record labels, right? And look at the artists that it hasn't worked out for, right? And it's mainly because they never had a plan, right? They always relied on this person's gonna do this person's gonna do this person's gonna do this. All I have to do is make the music. And it's like that can't be enough anymore. Do you know what I mean? There's too much happening in the music industry and in the industry as a whole for you to think you can be one dimensional and it's going to work. There's no way. I'm not saying show people everything that you do. I think it goes back to what it is that you want, right? And what it is you're willing to sacrifice to get what you want. Anything can be a good idea if it's gonna benefit you. Literally anything can be a good idea if it's gonna benefit you, right? Going to the strip club, I know it's a little bit left, but it could be a good idea if it's gonna benefit you, right? But if it's not gonna benefit you, then it's like now you get there and you're like, oh man, sounded like a good idea to come to the strip club, but I'm broke. Now it's starting to look like a bad idea, because like, what did you want, right? So I think moving to Joburg, know what you want. Like really know what you want and understand that like it's not gonna come easy. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of sacrifices. And just to touch on a conversation that we had earlier on about opening the industry, right? One thing that we have to understand as a generation, this generation, is rights come with responsibility. It's two sides of the same coin, right? It's easy to be like, yo, I have the right to say what I want. I have the right to tweet what I want. I have the right to make the music that I want, but also understand the responsibility that comes with that. Parents show that to us, right? Like you can tell your mom when you don't have a car, yo, mom, like I need to do this, you know what I mean? To further my career. I have the right to further my career. I just need the car to make this thing happen, right? If you want the car, have the responsibility to put petrol in it. Do you know what I'm saying? So in whatever you're doing, understand that there is, with every right that you want, right to opening up the industry, there's a responsibility that comes with that. When it's open, what are you going to do? Do you get what I'm saying? So coming back now to the conversation of moving to Joburg, right? Understand, like, you can do that if you want to, but understand the responsibilities that come with that, right? Because it's not easy. Like that, I'm telling you from experience, it's not, I can tell you so many things that came with moving to Joburg, right? Living in a place where I don't know when I'm gonna pay rent, right? Living in my car for a couple of weeks, couple of months, right? Where I didn't know, like, yo, I don't know. And I'm not living in my car because I like it. Now, that shit sounds poetic, like, yo, I lived in my car. That shit's cuck. Like, straight up, it's not nice, right? But I understood that, like, yo, there's the sacrifices that need to be made in order for me to get to where I need to get. And why I chose to live in my car, or rather sleep in my car, let me say, instead of living in my car. Sleep in the car is because there were predicaments where I'd have 50 Rand to my name, Maji. I'd have 50 Rand to my name, and I'm like, oh, with this 50 Rand, I could either put, or 100 Rand, I could either put petrol in and be able to go home and come back to studio, or I could park the car by the garage, have something to eat for the night, and then I still have money for tomorrow. That's sacrifice, that's compromise, it's what you gotta do in order to achieve what you wanna achieve. So if you're ready to, honestly, if you're ready to lose it all, right? And if you're ready to make all those sacrifices, most importantly, if you're ready to lose every fucking thing that you know, right? Then leave the city. But I will say this, the art of true hustling is being able to lose it all and make it right back. As I said, for those who don't know me, I go by the name BlaQ Slim. Please, please, whatever you do in your 2021, keep that name in your head and remember that name for your playlist. Check my music out on all platforms. BlaQ_Slim, BLAQ_SLIM. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to a crazy 2021. And trust and believe, we're coming for everything. Yeah.